Welcome back to the HGC, and if your friends are missing out on the HGC right now, you need to get them involved because we are in a heck of a series with Dignitas and Fnatic going all the way to game number 5.
How annoyed do you think Dignitas is right now?
Probably tilted, honestly. At that point, I'm like, here, take game 5. Well,
like, that was absolutely crazy. That comeback. Them deciding that their only chance, as small as it might be, to try and fight a 5 versus 5 underneath the core with no path to retreat. Behind them were 3 towers. And they still made it work.
yeah, I guarantee you, they're like, play patient, all we gotta do is live here and we're fine. Well, it's time for game number 5. Let's find out where we're going. It's gonna be Sky Temple, and does anyone else have mid-season brawl feelings right now? Does this remind you of anything?
Chen. Yeah, so the last 2 times the 2 team faced on Sky Temple was actually twice on the mid-season brawl, and both times it was the last game of a series, which, guess what? It is again.
Yeah.
And both times Fnatic won their game. So the first time it happened in the winner bracket final at the mid-season brawl, that's where Fnatic pulled out a Chen strategy with a double support attack, and they finished, or they tried to finish the game super early, and it was something that since then was copied by a lot of teams trying to emulate that strategy. The second time was in the grand final when the 2 teams met again, and Fnatic relied heavily on a mass global composition that brought them to victory and crowned them the mid-season brawl champion. So now, once again, for the 3rd time, we have Sky Temple as the last map in a big series between the 2 teams.
Dignitas has to get over that last loss in the last game, but also has to worry about playing on Sky Temple for the 3rd time in the final game of a series against Fnatic. They will open up with a Medivh ban after seeing it on Cursed Hollow. Still makes sense. Fnatic themselves on the right side, what will they be answering back with?
Before we head into more into the draft, I want to just quickly say one more thing about the last team fight that happened on the last map where Fnatic pulled that comeback off, as people are probably still discussing it. One of the most crucial things in the composition of Fnatic that made the comeback possible, or the fight possible, was Oriel. Because
level 7.
Yeah, first of all, the level 7 with the cooldown reduction that we're soon going to lose, but also just the fact that you are not dependent on mana. That was massive in that fight, because Bakery ran out of mana on Morales, whereas we saw with the double support, and with Oriel in particular, still an endless stream of healing coming in. So this is one of the key things why that fight was even possible, just in case you're wondering. But we have our last draft on our hands, and our first pick is Uther.
Uther being picked up for Dignitas, taking it away here from Fnatic, but Fnatic will be able to move into a great 1-2 punch. Do they think Oriel is worth it? Will they move into Tassadar? Tassadar's still up and available, and they had played him a little bit on the Oya side here in their first match on Tuma Spider Queen. So Fnatic dancing around, thinking about what they want to move into.
I want to see, I mean, we're not going to get it, but I want to see Vala and Oriel pick right now, just so I can see Chen getting banned out by Dignitas on the next one. It's not going to happen, but that was basically what happened the last time. But yeah, Fnatic, how are you going to play this? Is it ETC and Genji?
Wow.
So now ETC, of course, here could be played with Mosh Pit, but we have ETC seen on this map more so with Stage Dive, going for the pseudo global. And Fnatic style caters also more towards that. And I think at this point, Fnatic probably just looks at the hero and says, hey, first of all, we have one of the best ETC players in the world. Second of all, Dignitas has been starting to really prioritize ETC, so let's just make sure that we pick it away from them and we add a very strong CC tank in our own setup.
But now Dignitas, on their side, they can move into either support they want to. If they want to move in a double support, they can grab Tassadar, they can grab Oriel, they can grab the Vol themselves. There's always a chance they may want to pick up into a new Barak. It's always been a great pickup as of late, especially when you want to get into those situations where you control the Dragon Blade Genji. Dignitas definitely have options up with Fnatic's choices. I'm wondering if it's going to pay off for them here on Sky Temple.
This is one of the big things every single time that you find yourself in that spot. Do you go for the double support, yes or no? And first of all, Dignitas prioritizes the Haka, and we have a new Barak. So with that, they already have interrupts against ETC's Mosh Pit. They have their own CCs. They let go of the potential double support that they could have played here. They have, of course, an opportunity later on to either add Oriel or Tassadar, depending on picks on bans on Fnatic's side, to the roster still. But they went away from this, okay, we're going immediately into the double support and Vala or Lunara case.
So if you are Fnatic and you don't want to deal with the double support, do you ban it here, or do you leave up a couple options so you can switch into what you want, as they obviously get the 3rd and 4th?
I mean, you can always argue that if you are afraid, for example, of an Oriel composition, you can still take some of the batteries away and just ban those out. We have usually 3 that we talk about, Vala, Cassia, and Lunara. So depending
And
what
Gul'dan. Don't forget Gul'dan.
Yeah,
He's fallen off a lot, though.
the combo is definitely still strong, but it's not as dominant anymore as it was at the start when everybody was talking about the Oriel and Gul'dan combo. I think the big 3 are the ones that I just mentioned, with the auto attack, focus on Oriel, on Lunara and Vala, and then Cassia, of course, as well. But first of all, getting rid of potential snitch play. So the Tassadar and Tracer is something that they're a little bit worried about. Get rid of that. And yeah, Fnatic at this point, they don't have access to false stat, which makes ETC with the stage dive even more likely if they don't add, let's say, Brightwing to their own setup, which they like to do on Sky Temple.
Also makes it harder if Dehaka were to go in for the flank for Fnatic to go ahead and nullify that by dropping the Mighty Gust, which is very frustrating to play against when you do want to get that Dehaka flank that comes your way. And now options are starting to open up here. Are we going to grab the Greymane for Fnatic? Will they attempt to pull that off here? As that is definitely an option they've ran in the past, but Genji on top of that Schwimpy, and they have the blow potential. They decide to go ahead and grab Vala, and will this be the Ariel here?
It could very well be at this point. Or you can, you could also drop a Tassadar, for example.
Ooh, they give it
Rega.
up.
So if you wanted to head into a double support, I would have said Tassadar would be a good start, since you then can, on the no matter what happens on Dignitas
Grab
side,
whatever.
you can still pick a very good support for yourself. But they still have the option to potentially go for Tassadar unless Dignitas picks it up for themselves. There's a few other heroes that they can still play. We are mainly looking for Whoopi's hero right now. That's another thing we have to keep in mind right at this point. So it's likely that we are talking about another melee. We'll see Schwimpy on Genji, Quacknix on Vala, and of course Breeze on ETC is Maxi on Rega, so we're looking for Whoopi's hero here. Whereas on the other side, it's all about Mena and Snitch.
Mana and Snitch here. Probably looking for the mage come online here.
Li Ming, again,
Yeah.
would be a great pick here for them. Also, it works, of course, against ETC. We still expect Stage Dive to come out here, but if you are worried about a potential mosh pit, then Li Ming, of course, can also help out with a Wave of Force. They have already a few tools with stuns. At Lunara and Brightwing, so double support first of all, and they are the ones to commit heavily to the globals with the pseudo global for Brightwing, and Dehaka, of course, he himself at this point their main asset, and they have really played a lot with Dehaka in the series.
That they have. Dehaka's been, I believe, in every single game so far today, if I remember correctly. No, not game number 1.
But Dehaka, does Dehaka have? No, he doesn't have a 100% win ratio because of Battlefield.
Fnatic looking for Wubby on their 5th pick. Leoric, Malthael, all possibilities can be picked up by him.
I mean, you could also go into Sonya. There's always the question now, do you need someone a little bit more beefy in your setup to help out ETC up at the front line? We even... I mean, maybe not against what we're seeing here. I wouldn't mind something. I actually don't know. I wouldn't mind a Sonya, but I don't believe that's going to be the choice for them. It's Tyrael instead. Tyrael, I'm always a little bit careful when I see a Tyrael on their side. I've seen a few of the games with Tyrael where they tried it on this map in particular that didn't really work out too well for them. But right now, you increase your... Like, there's a lot of arguments to be made in favor of Tyrael. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The Holy Ground later on is fantastic. We have, with Sanctification, a great tool when you're fighting over bosses, so your boss presence becomes much, much stronger. You have a huge argument to be made in your favor when you're trying to force a boss. So if you're... We always seem to end up in a situation on Sky Temple where a boss fight can be forced or has to be forced by either one of these two teams. If you have the Tyrael in your midst with the Sanctification, you gain a lot, and also Sanctification is the poor man's Divine Shield. So you get the Holy Cow setup. Instead of a Divine Shield, you need to drop the Sank. It demands a lot of coordination to make that possible, but it's still something that they can pull off. So we'll be on Tyrael. Let's see if that works out for them. It's, I mean, to me, it's amazing that we are on the 5th map in
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
place. This is crazy.
The thing that I am a bit worried about is so far a lot of these games, whoever has the early game advantage moving into the mid game, the team that's behind has had a very difficult time because both of our teams are knowing how to push their advantage. Granted, this is Sky Temple. You have a much more higher chance of moving into those team fights, which I think the comp for Fnatic is a little bit better for those team fights for getting into the engagements. But with Dahaka being on the other side, Team Dignitas can get an early game lead and find a route here to really push Fnatic to the wall, which is a bit worrisome as going into game number 5.
Yeah, pushing Fnatic to the wall again.
Again.
Didn't work
for the
out so well the
third-
last time.
But that is such a fluke situation, right? Like, if you're, I don't know, if you're Dignitas, you have to come out of that and be like, that shouldn't have happened.
I can't remember if I've ever seen this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen the situation that we had in the last game at the end. That you have a team that decides they have to go through a keep, take a fight on a core in a 5 versus 5 and actually win it. The chances of that are insane. And if you guys follow any of the HGC pros, and I'm not talking about the players on the both of the teams here, but if you follow HGC pros, your Twitter feed after that game was just stunned silence with people like, what just happened here?
Yeah. A majority of teams would have checked out at that point. Okay, maybe we'll get the keep, we have to back up, and they would have eventually lost the game to a medevac. But Fnatic just finding it deep within themselves to push to the limits and get that core pickup in game number 4. And now they have to do it once again. Both Dignitas and Fnatic looking for the victory in this best of 5 series. It's all for BlizzCon. Game number 5, Sky Temple.
Once again, between Dignitas and Fnatic, we have Sky Temple as our map, and Dignitas to the left with Bakery on Uther. Mene playing Brightwing this time. JPL at that front line, this time on a Nuburak. Snitch hopping around on Lunara, and Zelia finds himself on that offlane once more with Dahaka.
On the right side in the red, we're going to be having Fnatic here. Quatnix playing Vala, Breeze on Tyrael, Smexy on Rhaegar, Wubby on ETC, and Schwimpy will be on Genji. So ETC will be played by Wubby instead. Maybe some stage dive?
I would say that in this case, you need... I mean, what are the arguments for mosh pit? You have so many interrupts against you. A stage dive I would absolutely love. I think that's probably the best thing that they can do. I love that they switched the heroes up though, because as you pointed out, Wubby this time on ETC is not what we typically see, since normally Breeze wants the hero for himself. But I don't mind too much, to be honest with you, since the last few times I've seen Wubby on Tyrael, it hasn't really rocked my world. So a little bit. I mean, I'm happy that Breeze jumps on the hero here. I think he is a fantastic. Both of them are absolutely fantastic frontline players, but I like that they switch it up this time a bit.
Well, now he has a better chance to rock on ETC here, so we'll see him doing that. In the top side, we have 3 moving in and working on the turret, getting it low on health, and they will pull away. And I'm watching the rotations. It's all about trying to get the minion experience here, move towards level 4, and the temple spawning up, which will be occurring pretty darn soon.
This game is just, I mean, then it comes down to the last map. This is so typical for HGC, Dignitas versus Fnatic. The only time when it didn't go to the 5th map was the last time the two teams met, which was in part 1, phase 2. Fnatic back then had a clean 3-0 sweep against Dignitas. But if you look at phase 1, both of the encounters ended with a 3-2 victory for Fnatic, and they have the opportunity to make this a triple now. So the interesting part for me is that Dignitas is this time the one that has the higher global aspect on this map.
See if they'll be able to utilize that. They'll need to for sure. As Mane, JPL, and Snitch look towards Breeze, he's able to get away. Just saw a stat below earlier, by the way, as Genji is currently 8-0 when played by Schwimpy for Fnatic. They are undefeated on that Genji.
Well, I guess that's a good sign for them.
Yeah, right.
8-0 is pretty crazy. But so far on Sky, they have a simple trade on the temple. So we have a mid-temple being focused by Dignitas, whereas Fnatic has currently taken the upper hand at the top side, and both of the teams aim for level 4 at the same time now. And we have the arrow build, the hybrid build for Quatnix, going into the hot pursuit on level 1, but still committing to the arrow build. And in case that you guys are wondering a little bit why exactly that is, the reason is pretty simple. He doesn't need Monster Hunter as the level 4 talent for the extra damage against minions and Mercenary, but what he tries, so he can still get the main damage output from the level 4 and the level 7 talent on his arrows. The level 1 talent, on the other hand, gives him a little bit more movement speed with the stacks, and at the same time also mana regeneration. So he's a bit more independent, will be able to stay in the fights longer, and that is something that we see a lot more right now. I can't actually remember when we saw that the first time in an official tournament match. It was at the Western or the Eastern Clash, one of the two, and I must say that It's a pretty sweet build to watch.
I think we saw it in the Eastern Clash when SCSC was running it, if I remember correctly.
I've seen it.
Different builds.
Yeah. I mean, I also love it. Hybrid builds are absolutely cool if you adapt them to the situation. And as we said before, on Cursolo, for example, has a good argument to be made for Monster Hunter over Hot Pursuit on level 1 if you want to go for an arrow build, just simply because you have more boss control and can sneak those in a bit faster. It's one of the things that helped Fnatic to take the victory on this map. But for this one, there's a bit of a different focus here. Good pressure at the bot lane, by the way. They didn't get a fountain, which would have been fantastic for the next phase, but they were at least able to break the wall down, which is already huge.
Yeah, and that really stemmed from them putting a lot of pressure on the top side, which made Team Dignitas defend a little bit better, and them rotating all the way to the bottom side, they were able to open that turret wall just from the pressure they've been putting on the field here. Still tied in experience though, 7-7. With Rhaegar working on the mercs on the top side, ETC will be able to help clear out that minion wave and put Fnatic in a decent spot for working towards that fort.
Yeah, and talking about forts, the mid fort nearly falling, and up at the top, Dignitas is in a similar position with their own fort. It's very low on HP. At the bot lane, Fnatic would love to take at least the fountain down, so that they have an easier time when the next temple is being announced. But Dignitas doesn't allow that. They have 3 heroes now at the bot lane, holding strong on the lane itself. But yeah, both of the teams can now fight for this one. Slightly for Fnatic, nothing too crazy, but ETC is still top, and it looks very much like he's going to try and remain there up to the point where they might even hit the next level here.
We'll see if he's able to get in there, using that Echo Pedal, trying to move forward, trying to clear out that wave. He wants to get that forward, give his team a nice amount of experience, because so far, both teams have been doing a really good job of soaking every ounce of experience they can get, but getting that forward will give them a nice cushiony experience lead here, which will get them towards that level 10. Meanwhile, Fnatic is working on the bottom side and grabbing whatever they can in terms of shots, but being careful to clear out everything that is pushed into them.
Now, Dignitas does really well when it comes to holding the lane experience. They have Brightwing in the mid lane. That's why they are still even in experience with Fnatic, even though the top fort has fallen, because Brightwing took the fort in the mid lane down, so it was an even trade. Brightwing comes in, so does the Haka. Smexy trying to rush away, and Zelia already eating a lot of damage here. Nearly enough to take him down, and he finally falls. That is a huge blow to Dignitas. That's a disaster, actually. They go in with a 5 versus 4, and they lose Dehaka, which leaves ETC all alone at the top lane. And down here, 4 versus 4, JPL low. Oh my, this could not be worse for Dignitas.
This is getting worse and worse here with ETC breaking open the keep wall on the top, getting a turret here already. They've hit level 10, the fort dead on the bottom side, shot still going over Fnatic, stage dive in, power slide onto a Nubrak, power slide onto Bakery, Bakery low on health, and he's gonna fall. This is falling apart. Dignitas in game 5 is hurting.
Yeah, they really are hurting. If you commit your 2 globals to a move at the bottom fight and you know that your opponent is not able to make it 5 heroes because ETC doesn't have stage dive yet, you need the kill. If you don't get the kill, that's already bad. But if you lose a hero yourself and as a result lose the temple at the bot lane, that's a disaster. They lost structures top, they lost the temple bot, they just lost the boss because of the level 10 hitting and Fnatic capitalizing immediately on the stage dive. Dignitas, they grab their own heroic, but they are in so much trouble here.
Fnatic in the deciding game on Sky Temple are making a case here to get a 3-0 on Sky Temple against Dignitas, already pretty far ahead. But there is good news. Dignitas does hit level 10. Lenara starts to clear out on the bottom. Caldor, we have to give them some good news here. With it being game 5, they're still in it. They have a chance here. Cocoon being up, they can get the interrupts and focus some kills.
They have still a chance, but there's very little good news at this point. They need I'm curious, they need to somehow utilize the globals. That would have been a great move, but Zelia is not able to land the drag. That's a bit unfortunate for them. If they can actually hit this one, that would have been great for them. Breeze moving out now. And right now, one of the things that's also, I mean, what really impresses me is that Fnatic's track record on Sky Temple is just absolutely crazy. Like, bringing those guys onto this map is nearly suicide at this point. Dignitas, if they actually lose to Fnatic again in the last map of a match on Sky Temple, I think they're going to have some trauma. That is, I mean, this is getting crazy. Dignitas, on the other hand, they have shown incredible resilience in the last few games that they've played here. So I'm sure that with the 2 globals, they can catch up on experience, because their main problem is how far behind they are from a structural point of view. In experience, it's 1 level. But Fnatic, of course, is going to try and do to Dignitas now what Dignitas did to Fnatic on Tomb of the Spider Queen, on Infernal Shrines, just running with the talent advantage. That's what Fnatic is this point aiming for since they're heading into 13.
Well, now they'll have a chance to use both their globals as 2 temples have spawned. Dahaka hasn't made a step towards the bottom lane, as a couple of people are missing for Fnatic on the map in terms of vision, so Dahaka is playing a bit on the safer side. Finally, with ETC showing up on the bottom, they are aware that Genji is in the middle, so Dignitas is making a play to rotate towards the bottom. Wubby, being aware of this though, does pull away instantly.
And that allows, of course, Fnatic now to get a majority of the shots between the two temples. They soaked a fair amount of the shots at the bot temple, and now they're completely taking the top. Level 13 talent is ready, and they're invading their opponent's camp, so that's another big win for them here.
And it is. Be able to push on that top side. Remember, when HGC was left alone, he did already start working on that front wall already. And with the gate being cleared up by the temple, we should be able to have those mercs be a nuisance enough to where Dignitas has to come in and defend, especially being a talent tier behind. Zillion's on the bottom side, facing off against Wubby, but he's got to be careful with Schwimpy rotating in.
It's a really big problem for Dignitas, because right now they're actually outplayed on the map. That's one of the biggest problems they have. Even though they hold Brightwing and Dahaka, they are outplayed on the map since we have Fnatic at the bot lane with ETC now reclaiming the shots. So basically what happened here is Fnatic more or less getting both temples, minus a few shots that Dahaka could soak. But because of that move to the top lane and the night camp stolen away by Fnatic, Dignitas had to react at the top, and that left Dahaka alone bot lane. So Fnatic could make a rotation that forced Dahaka off, gave them the shots, and now finds them with a 1.5 level lead. So they're increasing the level lead against the double global that Dignitas is running, and they are doing a lot of work against the structures, and Dignitas is down to the last line of defense, which is their keeps.
And the thing is, Fnatic has 2 lines of defense. They have 2 forts up to the one top right to the bottom right. If they were to lose out on a temple, they can take a couple of shots their way. With a boss being up in the next minute and a half, that could be something that Dignitas thinks about maybe fighting around it. They feel they're 2 behind. But with Sanctification and Holy Ground at level 16, that gets even more difficult. Dignitas are sharking around. They're going to look for a fight. They go in and they do find a Smexy.
Yeah, ETC comes in, but Rega is in trouble. ETC immediately helping out, and Smexy moving away. Looks like he might still fall, but he kept himself alive for a long time. Drops the Ancestral just in case. Survives for now. Brightwing doesn't, and neither does Lunara. Both of them are dead as Fnatic gets the double kill. Aims for a triple as Bakery chases the dog. And Nubarak is already down as Uther falls as well. Fnatic 7 kills against 0. They make a quad kill happen and move now towards the top lane keep.
Who let the dog out? Smexy somehow lives throughout that entire fight. Multiple forms of CC hitting him, the healing totem keeping him alive during the poison, and he even got to a point where he was less than 200 health and he was baiting his opponent to come in for the fight so Schwimpy could continue to dominate on the Genji. Keep falls down on the top left corner, Fnatic takes 16, and there is a 3-level lead on Sky Temple in game number 5.
Fnatic arguably shouldn't even be in this game. And now they are ahead by 2 levels, an entire talent, and they have just taken a keep 11 minutes in. The last game, definitely a big, or the ending of the last game, a big blow to Dignitas' confidence, no doubt about it. But this game is also not working well for them. For Fnatic, the last game must have been such a huge relief, and they are just showcasing all that momentum that they build up with that victory on Battlefield of Eternity, as they are starting to force more fights over there. Dignitas is basically saying we need to fight. Even against the talent down there, are willing to at least be aggressive, if not 100% commit. And Fnatic has absolutely no problems heading into these battles. Yep,
Dignitas is now on plan C. Try to find a way to kill your opponents in some way, some shape, or some form, and it's not working out. Fnatic's playing safe enough. They're grouping as 4. Dahaka's on the left side. It's Xaylia taking some damage, but Wubby comes around with the power slide. JPL hits C. Big Nubarak charge in, but Sanctification will be utilized.
Breeze wanted to go for the split there, but Holy Crown barely misses. He wanted to isolate some of the heroes, and he doesn't get that chance. Now with Sanctification already being used, that's a cooldown burn, as we have Dignitas moving in again. Keep in mind, there's still a talent down. They're willing to fight here with a talent down, since there's 2 temples on the map.
Quacknex needs to be careful though. He is low on mana. With Hungering Arrow build and of course that multi-shot 16 for that slow, you need mana to be effective as Balla. They will back up and try to grab said mana.
I like that Dignitas is aggressive.
They have to be.
This is something that Fnatic was lacking on Tomb of the Spider Queen, when they needed to be aggressive at some point. Discipline and caution only gets you so far. If you're 2 levels behind at this point and there's 2 temples on the map, you cannot simply sit there and wait. You're down to 2 keeps. Yes, you are a talent down, you are in an awful spot, and you don't really want to take the fight, but you are forced into these. So Dignitas does the best out of a bad situation, and they are actually trading extremely well into Fnatic. That Sanctification burned allowed them to push them back.
Especially considering now that they've hit 16, they're at least on even talent tiers, and they're looking for a fight. Mane comes in with the big Emerald win into the phase shift. Breeze is on his side here on the left. Holy Ground to be utilized to try and get away. Rhaegar giving enough for the healing. Smexy comes out of the cocoon, and Breeze, he survives.
Unbelievable. Breeze is still there. Now they're turning it around. He's willing to even die there, but the Ancestor comes through. Shrimpy with a Dragon Blade. He wants Lunara, and he gets her. The Ninja takes her apart. Brightwing falls. And even with Genji being eliminated, it's a triple kill for Fnatic as the Nubarak is dead.
Dahlia is the last one standing here, getting a couple of heals, but eventually he falls too. And you look at the minimap and you see Fnatic looking towards the top lane. Do they want to move in and go for the kill? It might be a little bit too short on timers, but they can make a play for the keep.
Exactly. They can go for the keep at least. If this lane would have been the one where the keep is eliminated, I'm sure they would have moved for a core, especially since they have Sanctification on Tyrael now. That would have helped them. But they can't make the rotation fast enough, so they go for the keep instead. Do they commit even further with a Sanctum Breeze? It's unlikely. They're all low in mana, and so they simply move away. Keep in mind, there's still 2 temples on the map. Once they soak those, it's very likely that even the last keep on Dignitas' side is going to be taken down. And we have Fnatic only 1 level away from 20.
Dignitas needs to go now, it feels like. The 420 hits, the 2 temples on the field, the boss being up. All the cards are available for Fnatic to win the game in the next couple of minutes if Dignitas can't make something happen. So they're going to move in. JPL grabbing the temple in the middle with Brightwing. Bottom temple grabbed by Rhaegar, so this keep goes down to half health. It's still alive and standing, but the next play is on the boss. It's Dignitas already down there.
Yeah, Dignitas is going for the boss play now, and they kind of have to. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Fnatic can even backdoor at this point. This is the one thing that concerns me more than anything else if I'm looking at Dignitas' chances. The backdoor potential.
This boss isn't enough to actually push in and kill the core by itself with HGC defending. So they'll go ahead and let the boss push in. It'll go towards the keep, and now they have to defend the push in the top left that you were calling out there.
Look at the wave at the bot lane. It's massive. There's like catapults already on the core. And the only thing they have to do, with Fnatic showing here, what does Dignitas have to do? Dignitas has to wait and see if they commit, because if they do commit, they have to go back. But the boss alone cannot go through the keep and core. That's why Fnatic shows up here. They're basically saying, boys, come back and defend your damn core so that we can go down and defend against the boss.
And they do. They pull on back. They hit 20 here with everyone committing to defense for Dignitas. Fnatic will defend themselves here.
I love, though, that Dignitas was waiting in the shadows for a long, long time, seeing if Fnatic would actually commit to it. And once that Fnatic did still not see anyone coming back, they just said, guys, if you do not come back, we will go for the core. And Dignitas finally accepted that. And now they are getting very little out of that boss. They don't even get a keep.
It shows the clarity that Dignitas still has here in game number 5. They're behind, but they still know how to get the victories here, which is a good sign for a team.
That was really well done from both sides. There was a little bit of a game of chicken that they had there, but it was really well done by both of them, the way that they played it. And they always have the opportunity to move away with Tyrael using a Holy Ground, and if need be, the Sanctification. But now it's 20 versus 18.
Oh, 1 temple here in the middle. We'll be spawning in 10 seconds, and you're right, it's 2018. Dignitas needs to make a decision here. Do they want to try and use their double globals to push different lanes, maybe make a mistake out of Fnatic, maybe push on the top side, work towards the temple and force a team fight even at a disadvantage, while Fnatic can leave ETC in the middle here and show again with 4 on the bottom.
Yeah, they're sharking around at the bot lane now, and ETC, as you said, with the global, he can always be the one to take over the temple. Fnatic is playing this smart now. They know that there's actually... Dignitas lost a game like this yesterday. They were in Fnatic's position and they lost. And right now, we're seeing Fnatic, of course, they have to be careful here still. ETC, the keep is down, he holds the temple, and the more shots they are firing now, the more the core will fall. But he goes for the stage dive first and all, and there's the Sanctification. As they're jumping in, they go for Bakery, he's isolated. JPL is low, Brightwing, the first to fall. 13 kills, 14 against 1, and this is the Shrimpy show as he goes in, goes for the triple. He wants a Nubarak. JPL barely gets away, but Shrimpy says, not on my watch, bro. He gets all of them. And this is going to be the end, ladies and gentlemen. Fnatic, they fight for Game 5 with an insane action on Battlefield of Eternity. And then on the last map, on Sky Temple, they decide the series in their favor.
Fnatic versus Dignitas always delivers. And Fnatic today, again, as of recently, has come out ahead here, getting the victory over Dignitas. Incredible series from both of our teams, but we have to have one winner.
Yeah, Fnatic, I mean, insane. What happened in Game 4 is, I think that was probably one of the craziest comebacks that I've ever seen in Heroes of the Storm. It was definitely one of the most unexpected ones. But a huge shout out to Team Dignitas. Oh boy, did they look good today. After, I don't want to say struggle, but yeah, after struggling in
Sure.
the first part of Phase 2, not making it to the Western Clash, and then dropping 2 maps against the Playing Ducks, what they showed today, that was crazy. And it was not that they only dominated team fights. What impressed me more than anything else was the clarity of strategy and how well and disciplined they played every single time they had an advantage on Infernal Shrines, on Tomb of the Spider Queen. It was beautiful to watch. So massive, massive shout out to Dignitas. Fnatic might have won the series here, but Dignitas definitely made a huge statement here today.
I mean, that clarity even showing on the bottom right side of Sky Temple when they waited around just to make sure that Fnatic made the right play. But speaking about Fnatic, we have the team captain here, Quacknix, joining us. And Quacknix, first off, congratulations on your victory, but can we just go ahead and start? I want to ask you about game number 4. How did you even make that call?
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I don't know, the whole series was so intense. Like, they played so good, and I think straight up in game 1 and 4, we got outdrafted. Like, we greeded a bit too much, like tunnel vision on what we wanted to get, and like wasn't very reactive, so we got straight up outdrafted, I would say. But game 4, I don't know how we made it happen. Like, I mean, it's pretty simple, like what is needed to do, but like, if we, like, there's no way we can defend core, right? So if we stay around our core, it doesn't matter. Like, if they made it back in, we're dead. Like, I mean, they will finish the core. So we have to walk up there, and we have to make sure that we're always pressuring the core, because it will still like take them 10 seconds to move in position, like onto the middle of the map for the medevac to reach core. So like, no matter what, we have to stay there, and we have to end the game. And like, I was so confused because I didn't know exactly how we play it, but obviously we need to play it like this. As Mexi is just like, we have to do it, and then we just like, everybody starts communicating, we kite, we have to look for a kill, we kite down again, and then actually at one point, like, I said, I'm dead here. Like, there's a Leaming Orb who's about to hit me because I'm like 30% HP, and then the grenade hits me away, and I live, and we win the game.
Awesome. Well, congrats on the win, man. It was quite the treat to watch, and I'm going to send you over to Calidor.
So I have a couple of questions. First of all, congratulations. That series was insane. I thought you were dead in the waters in Game 4. But you just said that it was actually Smexy making that call in the end. So we know that you are normally the shot caller for the team. Was that really one of those moments where you said you were confused, where you just said, okay, Smexy says it, so we follow that?
I mean, obviously, as we wipe them, we're walking up to core. We know we have to do something. We know we have to at least get a keep or try to core. But it's like, as we're walking up to keep, they're saying we have to core, and I'm like, I don't know if we can. But then Smex is like, we have to, because otherwise we lose. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we have to. And Whoopi's like, yeah, we have to. And I mean, they just like convince me. And if I make another call, like we probably lose the game. But they just said we have to. And then obviously I just realized instantly when it's about, like, because Mexi said, like, they don't reach core right away, like they have to walk here, and he pinged or something, and then we're all like on the same page. We know what we have to do, and somehow we managed to pull out the miracle.
Did you expect us to come out this strong? Because I was really impressed by a lot of what they did. They played extremely disciplined. They had very clean strategies going through these games, and considering that they didn't make it to the Western Clash, a lot of people were doubting a bit how far they could actually push you guys. And we could argue that they should have won the series. So did you expect them to be this strong against you, or was that something that surprised you guys as well?
I mean, I was pretty scared because we haven't played them for 1 month, and like, so we had a break, and like the first week after the break, we were playing really sloppy in scrims. I mean, obviously it was not like we were losing everything, but coming from like a 90% win rate in scrims to like a 50% win rate in scrims, when not even playing like the top tier teams only, like, it was pretty scary, and like, we have no idea how Dignitas meta looks and what to expect from them. But like the last couple of days, we actually had really good scrims. So I felt confident, and I just think like we overthought a bit and like tunnel vision a bit on like the draft we wanted to get first game, and not so much on like just getting a strong core and drafting reactives so we don't get countered, because that's what we want to do in the draft. Like, just get a strong core and react after draft, like with the flex picks, and just counter your opponent, I guess. And they straight up did that in game 1 and 4 to us. And yeah, they probably should have won the series, so I'm just really happy we managed to pull it out.
I mean, once again, congratulations, and I have one more question before I let you go. Where's the boy band video?
It's coming. Okay, so everybody's asking all the time. I know. The additional plan.
Did
or
you
like
see it
this-
already?
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Like I look pretty disgusting for the first minute. Like I don't know. I tried to do something with my hair to look like the guy in the video. I regret that. But apart from that, I actually think the video is really good.
Who
Like,
has the solo?
I don't know. Like we're not actually singing. We're like miming and dancing and doing some moves. But it was supposed to get released today, right now. But there's still some things that needs to be done in editing. So they're really trying to push it so it's done for the next weekend.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Well, we look forward to it, and we also look forward to your next match against Team Liquid. We're excited for that to be happening, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But before you go, as always, he has to give us a few shout-outs.
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, I want to say very well played to Dignitas. Like, they played amazing today, and I'm really happy we managed to pull it off. So, like, great shout out, big shout out to my team as well. Obviously, shout out to my sponsors. And yeah, I don't know, like, I'm still, like, I'm in shock actually. Like, it was a long time since I felt this way in an online match.
Has it
But
lit a
yeah,
fire under you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm just shout out to Dignitas
I'm not used
for
to this
playing
either,
so
man.
good. They're back for sure. And yeah, shout out to my team.
Awesome. Well,
And shout out
congratulations.
to Twitch chat. You are awesome, boys. Keep shitting.
Congratulations to Fnatic, Quacknix, and of course the rest of the boys there as they get the victory. We're going to get ready for our second series of the day as we'll be watching Tricked Esports taking on Zealots. We'll be right back. This is the HGC.